Welcome to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Dekker Team. I'm Ken Dekker.
And I'm Yenna Dekker.
And today we got a very special show.
Every show's special.
Yeah, but this one's we're gonna take you on some twists and turns, maybe take a test drive.
You said yabut?
Yabut.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we already know we're in for a treat today and that it's going to be interesting, fascinating, and probably a little unique.
All right.
All right. So today we're going to do something that is a little bit different, actually. We've never attempted this before. And it's come out of the fact that we recognize people's experiences today are really all-encompassing. Mm-hmm. And so when we experience one thing somewhere, whether it's a great meal in a wonderful restaurant or whether it's a beautiful luxury resort, we really take all of those experiences and they now color what we expect from every other experience.
Yeah, it's similar to when we took a course a while back, and the gentleman said, well, who's your competition? And most of the people started listing other real estate companies with their competition. Yeah. And he said, no, actually your competition is the Ritz-Carlton, it's Walt Disney World, it's all those type of places that have superior customer service and experiences for their clients. That's our competition because that's who they're comparing us to.
Right. You're not, if you're working with one realtor, you're not comparing the different realtors. You're comparing your experience with your realtor, with the Dekker team, with that of the experiences that you're getting in other areas.
Mm-hmm. What was it like when the last time you went to test drive a car or to buy a car? What was that experience like? What was your experience like the last time you went to a hotel? Was it a luxury hotel? Was it a budget hotel? Was it a hotel that you walked into and after seeing the room decided to go back and get your money back and go somewhere else? You know, was it that kind of hotel?
Right. And so when you're selling your home, what we've realized is all of those experiences that we're just talking about actually color, flavor, either enhance or take away from the experience that a particular buyer is having when they come to your home. So we've been starting to use the terminology, they're test driving. They're there to test drive to see if that home works for them. And they're taking all those experiences they've had and making sure that it fits.
That works on the inside track, right? The test drive, that's very good. Very good, Yetta.
Well, and it works because it's proven performance that moves you fast.
Yes.
So we're starting to understand our language, maybe a little bit unique for the real estate industry, and yet it isn't really because all the industries really meld together to create what we now expect. Mm-hmm. Not us, not just me, what you expect, even when you go to look at a home, is very different than what you or I would have expected, what we expected, say, 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. And entirely different.
Oh, yes. And the experience when you get in the home, you know, how that person feels, whether they feel welcomed by the person selling their home. Not that they're actually there, but there's things that they can do that makes their house feel welcoming when you show up. And that's basically the premise of our show today is we're going to talk about relating to your experience of walking into a luxury hotel. And I don't know if you've been to a luxury hotel. You've probably, if you've never been to one, it might be nice just to walk into the lobby and experience that part of it, even if you're not staying there. Yeah. And if you haven't, you might, you see these pictures online. You kind of, sometimes in the wintertime, we drool about, we see the Caribbean pictures of luxury hotels.
And there's no snow in them.
There's no snow, just white sand. And so that kind of thing. So you got an idea. Even if you haven't been in one, you probably have an idea of what one's like.
Yeah, because I don't want to cut you off, and yet I kind of do. Yeah, because now it's my turn to do but you've started something. The same thing happened when I was chatting with Ryan on another show that we recorded.
It's a beautiful thing.
I started doing accents.
Oh, nice.
Which clearly is not a thing I do.
No, that's not your expertise.
No, so it was bad. Anyhow, so one of the neat things, now I've totally lost my train of thought. Do you know where my train of thought was going?
Well, that train left the station a long time ago. So we're talking about luxury hotel versus maybe a budget hotel and the experience that you have when you come up to the property.
Right. And the experience that we have, no matter what we're doing in life, actually impacts the experience we have when we're looking to buy a home.
Yes. And it also, believe it or not, dramatically affects our buying decision. Because we think we make decisions with our brain and logical, and yet it's the emotion. People, time after time, they walk in, they go, I don't know what it is. It feels like home. I want to buy this house. And it's just an emotional response. But it's contained to all the different elements that we're going to talk about, how to create that emotional response in someone.
Right. And we don't want to lose that we're saying it's purely an emotional decision, because it's not. We don't want to lose that there's also logic attached to it. So we're not going to go see a home that doesn't have the right amount of space, that isn't located in the area we want, that doesn't
Well, that's where we come in.
Right.
Because sometimes someone goes, yes, I like this house. And we go, yeah, but you mentioned that you wanted this type of kitchen, or you wanted an open floor plan. This is not that. Are you okay with it? So we just bring a reality check.
Right.
So we're not going to determine which house someone buys. That's their decision.
Yeah, because we don't get to move in.
No. We may get to come to visit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is important that the logic is not being discarded. The logic is vitally important. And we often will first decide based on logic, and then it is the emotional things that seal the deal.
Yeah. Get us to go through. Because sometimes people say, logically it makes sense, and yet I don't feel like I want to buy this house.
Right.
It checks off all the boxes, and yet I don't feel an excitement or a skip in my heart or whatever for this property. So we move on.
And an interesting piece I just want to touch on. In my early years in the industry, I found my first many buyers and sellers were all attached to things emotionally. And so I started sharing the story. You're going to know it when you get into the house. You're going to feel it. It's going to be great. And then I met some people that was not going to happen ever. And so everyone is different. We're all unique. The emotional component will be lesser or greater degrees for every individual. And yet I don't think there's anybody that doesn't have some sense of emotional attachment that they don't even know is happening. Much of this is unconscious, right? It's not like we're having this emotional conversation as we're going through the home. It's number of times I could tell you we've walked into the front door, or we've actually been standing on the front step. And they say, no, we don't want this one. And I'm looking at them like, it has everything you want. It's in the right neighborhood. It's the right price. It's got everything you want. And we're standing here at the front door, and we've already ruled it out.
We haven't gone in yet.
We haven't even seen it, and we're done.
Yeah.
And that is purely an unconscious decision. And related to the emotion with it all.
Yeah, so let's talk about hotels, because sometimes we have our hotel pre-booked, right? We travel for trainings quite a bit, and our hotel may be pre-booked. Other times when we're vacationing, we may just drive the strip and look for a hotel that we want to go in and book a room. That's a little more risque.
Risky.
Risky. I don't know, either way.
I think just risky.
Okay, risky. Because you may not have rooms in those hotels when you go. And so you drive up, and there's a feeling you get as you drive up. What's that? What makes you want to go into a particular hotel?
Well, I think the first thing, and whether it's a hotel or a home, so we're going to be doing the parallel, I think, all the way through.
Yes, we're comparing, yes.
Right? Well, it's not comparing. We're equating.
Okay. Equating.
How do you like that word?
As a mathematician, I would say that's the same word as comparing.
All right. Anyhow, I want it to be fresh feeling. I want the curb to be crisp. I want the flowers to be green. I want the bushes to be just as they're intended to be. I want it to really welcome me. Whether we're talking, and even if we're talking the winter time, I still don't want to see any debris on the snow. I want it to be crisp snow then. freshly shoveled, cleanly shoveled. So it's not so much about whether it's summer, winter, or fall. I'm looking for an experience that is inviting, that it causes me to want to go forward.
So you want the walkway clearly cleaned, not icy.
Right. That would be a good one. And no leaves or debris, really.
Even if it's fall.
Even if it's fall.
You want it raked up and manicured, basically.
Right. And not long and not dried out, which sometimes in our summers here we have no choice these days. And yet we want our homes, when people are coming, they really are experiencing through that same lens.
Yeah.
Is the driveway edged nicely? Is it black surface rather than gray? Is the lip
cracks filled?
Are the cracks filled? Is the lip at the garage? Because we know that our pavement in our climates with the hot, cold, freeze, thaw, they will often settle near the driveway. So is there a 1/2 inch, 1 inch, or 2 inch jump to be able to get into the garage instead of a nice even slope? So if we top that up, is the step, the interlock that may be leading, is it even and level? Is it weed free?
Yeah. Crooked is a big turnoff for many people who have this this thing where things have to be level. And it's one thing to have the appropriate slope away from a property, because for rain, people understand that.
Yeah.
But if it's tilted in towards the step or down, then suddenly that throws off the whole feeling of just walking up to the front door.
Yeah, it does.
And in a hotel, that would be a trip hazard, so they would take care of that right away, because if somebody fell coming into their hotel, they're going to get sued, and they're not going to want to do that. So, and they want to present the best image possible. There's generally somebody there to welcome you. Now, when it comes to showing a property, there's no one there to welcome you.
Well, except hopefully the realtor's being welcoming.
Yes. And so even a thing like when you come in, I've been to different hotels, and you have too, because you've been with me.
On occasion.
When we go in, I've been into a couple hotels where the receptionist is behind glass, and there's a wee little slot at the bottom and a little thing you can talk. And even ones where you couldn't go into the foyer, you had to talk to them through a little speaker before they'd let you in at night.
Right.
Those are sketchy hotels and sketchy areas, right? So where I'm going with this is even the fact, maybe you have a luxury home, you have nice furnishings in it, you want to protect your family, so you have an alarm system, right? That alarm system, when you have people coming to visit your home, you want it off. You don't want the realtor to have to run in and disarm it and tell them, wait outside while I go disarm the... Because I've had it where people will immediately go, we don't want to live here. It's not a safe neighborhood. And I go, it is a safe... No, it's not. They have an alarm system. So they just equate having an alarm with not being a safe neighborhood, which isn't necessarily true.
It's not true at all.
No, but it's that first impression, right? And then the worst things happen when the realtor can't find the box, or it's slightly different way of turning it off than other ones. And then the alarm goes on, and then they got to call in and try and get the police not to come. Totally ruins the showing, right? We're moving on to another house. Sometimes I just lock the door and leave, and we're going.
You do not.
No, I don't, but I feel like it.
That I believe, because I have felt like it too.
Yeah. So just that, if you have an alarm system, just make sure it's off. Right. So the realtor doesn't have to deal with it. The people don't get that sense. Bars on windows doesn't really make it feel like a nice, safe house, does it?
No, even though it's a security conversation for you, and I totally get that, because it does create a level of protection, and we all have a different way of perceiving what we need to do to keep our home safe, right? And keep ourselves safe, not so much our homes as much as us safe. And it is one of those deterrents that's an emotional response that doesn't even make sense necessarily.
No.
Because why would we say there's a higher crime rate just because I choose to have, bars on my basement windows and I choose to have an alarm system? I'm just security conscious.
You may be. And maybe you've had reason to be that because there's been some attempts or break-ins or whatever, right? That's what goes through a person's head.
Yeah.
So if you're just joining us, you're listening to the Inside Track on Real Estate with the Dekker Team, and we're discussing how the feel of a luxury hotel can be transferred to the feel of your home when you have it for sale. And as a matter of fact, even if you don't have it for sale, it may be a nice way of feeling that, getting that feeling when you come home.
I know it's wonderful when we've just had, so these are a few of the things we've said, and yet we've missed some, so we're going to sort of start at the beginning. Having your driveway black, all the lines that may have cracked in the driveway filled, at the garage edge, the nice slope going into your garage if your driveway's fallen, all the interlock weed-free, the edging of the driveway, whether it meets up with gravel or whether in the country maybe, or it meets up with pavement, or it meets up with concrete, patterned concrete, or it meets up with interlock or any sort of patterned stone, that it's crisp and clean as you come up the edge, that the flowers are actually fresh, and if there's flowers, if it's that season, and that there's some sort of planter, some sort of inviting, soft thing that softens the house outside, that doesn't crowd my entranceway, still gives me room, and yet kind of navigates me in. A few others?
Yeah, I think we talked about level, and also not just level, your steps being the same height, because sometimes, typically a step is about 8 inches. And if you've got, say, a step that's attached to the house, those concrete steps, unless they're broken, they stay right at the right place because they're bolted right to the foundation of the house. But then your landscaping moves. And if it's not also 8 inches, it needs to be removed because that's a trip hazard, and also it throws people off in their psyche, in their emotions, if they have to figure out how to get up and down a step. So then, what's the glass at the luxury hotels? Got lots of glass in the front door. Usually they open automatically for you, or there's a doorman there.
Yeah, okay, well.
And they're clean.
Right.
They're polished. So take a look at your door. Is it inviting? Is it just black steel or steel door with no window? Is there a window but is full of cobwebs and dirty? Is the paint fresh around it? What's the opener look like? The knob or the
handle?
The handle. Is all the finish worn off of it? It used to be a nice brass or something, and now it's not. So really that first impression.
Right. Is there any stone chips in the door? Sometimes at the very base there's kicks from just dirt from shoes and things. So maybe even putting a kick plate.
Yeah, you could put a nice brass kick plate or whatever.
And it's actually quite no, not brass necessarily, not today.
Probably not.
Right. Were you going back to the 90s?
No, luxury hotels.
Okay. And maybe even adding glass in a door. Most of our metal doors, for a few $100s, you can pop a panel in to the door that will refreshen it by years and years and create that extra light going into the foyer, because we have different size homes. So we're not saying, as we're having this conversation, that everything has to be huge. We're saying that you can create a more inviting feel. So even more than luxury, it's really about the invitation. It's about being invited to continue to move forward and there not be anything to get in your way.
Right.
Emotionally.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm. And so when you walk into that hotel, generally they're very spacious.
Right.
They might have some soft music playing. There's good lighting. And it's appropriate temperature, right? So when you walk in, if it's hot outside, it feels cool inside. If it's cool outside, it feels warm inside. It's inviting.
Right. Yeah. And what people are doing when they come to your home is they're really, as we mentioned at the top of the show, giving it a test drive. They're really testing it to see, does this feel like home?
Yeah.
And
is it comfortable? Even though it's just a turn of the dial of your thermostat, they may feel it's cold and drafty if it's not warm enough.
And I've had that experience many times, especially with vacant homes or a home where people prefer to keep it a little bit cooler, and then they keep it on, it's on the market, and they keep it at that cooler temperature, and people go, bet this is really expensive to heat. Well, it has nothing to do with nothing. And yet that's the illusion that is created in somebody's mind just because their feet are cold or their hands are cold, because somebody turned down the thermostat. Not because that home may be way more energy efficient. And often, in fact, I found the ones where the temperature is kept lower, they're really energy efficient homes. It's just a lifestyle.
Yes. And also, you know, when you compare it to a hotel again, if you walk into a hotel, you're not going to take your shoes off.
Right.
But when you walk into someone else's home, typically we take our shoes off. And now you got sock feet or bare feet, and they're going on a floor. It might be tile, might be wood, might be carpet. If that floor is cold, they don't want to stay in your house very long.
No,
because they're uncomfortable.
Right.
Right.
And so they don't get
that. They don't feel welcome.
Right. They don't feel welcome, and then they don't get that opportunity to really test drive it because they've run out the door before they've had a chance to really turn on the ignition, so to speak, if we're relating it to cars. Did you like that?
Oh, that's very good. Yeah.
Right. And so not only are we looking for a good temperature in the house on the floors, we're also looking for clean floors.
Yes, I've gone where I go, when I come out, I go, ooh, I wish I hadn't taken my shoes off. That's not good.
No, because that creates a different feeling for the person that's looking at your home. I mean, the realtors probably will not say anything. They're not going to make it a negative experience for their buyer, except the buyer's already had the negative experience.
Yeah. And how often do you think they clean that reception area?
Often. They keep it
It's the first
perfect.
impression, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And do they have professional cleaners?
I would suspect they do, Ken Dekker.
Probably. So, you know, if you have your home up for sale, that may be the time to hire a cleaner.
So that you don't have to put all that stress and energy into it. Because it takes a lot. Even the light fixtures. I remember several years ago we had a home preparation gal come that was doing a training session for our realtors, and we had her come to our house to show everybody. And so I got it ready before she ever came. Because I knew that I knew, and I just handled it. Exactly.
Yeah,
so I handled it all. And having said that, she found cobwebs on my light fixtures out front. And there were just, you know, some of the lights in the house actually had some flies, you know, those nasty little cluster flies that get down inside your light fixture. And so there was this nice dark little ring there of dead bugs. I hadn't noticed.
That's welcoming.
I know. It wasn't welcoming at all.
If you're a spider.
Yeah, if you're a spider, it's welcoming. So even little things like that in our day-to-day, some people are so meticulous. I love some of my sellers. They live meticulous all the time.
You only like those sellers?
No, I like them all. It's just from a preparation perspective, there's a lot less stuff to do.
Right. Right. And now, there's usually some flowers in the reception of a luxury hotel. It's, again, spacious. There may be limited furniture. And I think sometimes we put too much in our foyer or our entranceway.
In the entranceway, where we first come in, we put that extra lamp table for the extra lamp, for the extra mirror. Sometimes a mirror is actually a really good tool because it opens up the space. So a mirror on the wall to really enlarge the space is fantastic. A bench to take shoes off. I get it's really convenient to be able to sit down to put shoes on and off, and I love that. And at the same time, if it crowds the foyer or the entranceway, then it actually is doing more harm than good.
Right. Then we want to remove it, put a mirror there, a fairly large mirror, with a matching frame to the style of home.
Right.
Right? And not just something screwed to the wall. We, you know, like a builder mirror. We want something very classy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are so many other little things, even before you've begun the experience of the home, that you just want to pay that special extra attention to make sure that when somebody comes in, they feel like they're going to want to continue to move through the home. Because, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes standing outside, they've already said, paint chips, dingy, not fresh, out of here.
Yes.
And now standing in that next entryway,
they get the view of most of the property from there.
Most of the main
major
level
rooms.
from that space, or at least how to navigate from there.
And that's where we're going to end it.
It is for today.
For today. We're going to continue on this theme of the luxury hotel on our next show. And we're going to highlight a couple of our wonderful properties that are kind of like going into a luxury hotel.
Exactly.
And you may just want to come and test drive one of them.
Exactly.
Because we have some beautiful properties. One is in Greeley. It's a nice lot, beautiful lot, mature trees. The trees were placed specifically for privacy, the angles of them. So no matter what angle you're on, you really don't see the neighbors. So very, very nice property. It is a bungalow, 3 bedroom up, 2 bedrooms down.
So lots of space.
Yes, 2 full bathrooms. It still has a space that could be converted. They're using it as a music room right now, as far as finishing. So the basement still got room to finish more. Nicely fresh granite, nice ceramic, hardwood. Really a great property. 2-car garage and a nice feel coming up. And that property is for sale at $520, I believe.
That's right.
$520, yes. And yet you have a property to highlight.
I do, and it's also a bungalow. We thought we'd stay on the bungalow theme today because they have that, I don't know, almost luxury feel just built into them because of the way they flow, kind of because you see so much of the house as you walk in. And it is located just outside of Greeley, between Greeley and Metcalfe, on an estate lot. So you've got a little bit of acreage there that's really inviting and lots of space to roam. So again, really private, large, spacious, flowing bungalow, $750,000, which is really good value for something that gives you that much abundance. Garage space, abundance there too. Lower level space, abundance there too. So really abundance throughout the home and just a very functional and yet inviting, beautiful space located with a really awesome commute into the city. Kind of a one of a kind.
Yeah, very close. Yeah, custom built.
Yeah, custom built.
One of a kind on a estate lot. Yeah, very, very nice. Yeah, so we're really pleased that you joined us on the Inside Track on real estate. And if you have questions about, what to do with your home, and even if you're not thinking of selling, you figure, well, I might be here 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and I want to make the updates, the changes, whatever I'm doing to my home, I want to make it so that it's saleable or more saleable, or I'll get a higher price by choosing this over choosing that. Give us a call. We're happy to help out. You can reach us at 613-860-4663. And again, 613-860-4663. Thanks for joining.